Hello guys, how are you? I'm doing good if you care. So, you've washed ashore in Verse Piece, the one-piece charge Roblox whirlwind, and now you're eyeballing that race screen thinking, which one's my golden ticket? Don't fret, crew, I've got you covered. We're about to embark on a wild, fun-filled voyage through every single race in this game, kicking off with the Please Reroll This bunch and sailing straight up to the I'm a Pirate King legends. I've got 19 races locked and loaded, buffs, tips, and a dash of pirate flair, mixed from the Verse Piece meta and some fresh goodies just for you. Grab your sword, spec, or whatever you're swinging, and let's dive into an epic adventure. But before we start, if you like this video, don't forget to click the like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get the basics down. Races in Verse Piece are your character's secret weapon, passive bonuses that tweak your playstyle without juicing your raw stats. Think damage multipliers, damage reduction, lifesteal, or wild tricks like spawning swords. You've got common, legendary, mythical, and exotic rarities, and you're tied to your first roll, unless you snag a race reroll item from chess, fishing, trading codes, or the Adventure Shop NPC in Frosttown. We'll unpack rerolling later with some pro tips, but for now, let's rank these races from worst to first, starting with the C-tier crew. C-tier. The can we skip this starters. Let's dip our toes in with the C-tier races, the ones that make you groan like a pirate who just dropped his treasure overboard. These are the bottom feeders of Verse Piece, either too basic or too flimsy to keep up. We've got 6 of them to wade through, so let's keep it light, toss in some survival hacks, and figure out why they're stuck in the muck. First up is Human, the plainest race on the roster. It's super common, think every newbie's got it common, and brings 0 buffs to the table. No damage boost, no defense, just you and your bare bones pirate grit. Imagine this. You're a fresh recruit in Frosttown, swinging a starter sword at mobs shouting, "I'm just a regular guy with big dreams." It's cute for a hot second, maybe you're channeling early Luffy vibes, but in PvP, foes laugh as they shred you. PvE, bosses barely notice you. Survival tip. Pair it with a beefy spec and grind till you reroll. Don't linger. Next, Fishman flops in with a cool aquatic look. Scales, fins, the works, but no real juice. Lore says fishmen are tough, but here, no damage multipliers, no water perks, just a cosmetic flex. Picture yourself in PvE thinking, I'll swim through these mobs. Nope, they swarm you while you splash around. PvP's a wash too. Sword mains carve you up like sushi. Try fishing for rerolls with this one. It's your best shot at escaping. Then there's Skypien rocking those Sky Island wings. They scream, I'm from Skypia, but don't lift you off the ground. 0 buffs, pure flavor. No damage, no defense, nada. Imagine flapping those wings in PvE, hoping mobs are dazzled. Spoiler, they're not, they just pound you harder. PvP's a no-go too. You're a sitting duck with style. Best bet? Trade with a buddy for a reroll item and fly away from this one. Quincy steps up next, sounding cool if you're a Bleach fan, maybe a tiny ranged boost, but it's a dud. Any perks are so small they're invisible. Mid-game PvE leaves it behind and PvP pros squash it flat. Picture sniping mobs with a weak bow, feeling briefly smug, until a Dragonic strolls in and tanks everything. Grind early and ditch it fast. Reaper follows, all grim and scythy, but its bonuses, if any, are ghostly thin. Maybe a whisper of damage that fades fast. You could stalk PvP like a spooky shadow, but stronger races just shrug you off. Lean on your spec and pray for better luck. Now, Reaper, here's the star we're fixing up. This grim, scythe-wielding race sounds edgy as heck, but its bonuses are ghostly thin. Maybe a whisper of extra damage or a slight speed tick that fades fast against real threats. In PvE, you're slashing mobs, hoping that Reaper vibe intimidates them. Nah, they just swarm you. PvP's rough too. You could stalk around like a spooky shadow whispering, "Fear the Reaper," but stronger races shrug you off. Picture this. You're in Frosttown, swinging that scythe at a low-buy mob, feeling cool. Then a contractor explodes you into next week. Survival tip. Lean on a fast-hitting spec to fake some power, then chase that reroll. It's more vibe than victory, but it's got heart. Don't sleep on the style. And finally, Arankar, a legendary race with a 1.583% drop rate and a 1 special damage multiplier. It's tagged best early game race, and yeah, that boost makes your specials pop when you're new. Imagine this, you're a rookie pirate, landing beefy kicks on low-level mobs feels awesome. But as you level up, that 1.5x fades, late game PvE bosses shrug it off, and PvP vets out-tank you. It's a decent starter, but C tier it stays. Too weak to hang long term. Now we're cooking. Welcome to B tier. These races step up with solid perks that make you feel like a proper pirate, not just cannon fodder. They're not the flashiest, but they're dependable. Like that crewmate who's not Luffy, but still pulls their weight. We've got 5 mid-tier champs to unpack, so let's dive in and see how they fare on the high seas. First up is Slime, a gooey gem with some slick tricks. Think life steal, %10 per hit maybe, or a %35 damage reduction. It's a PvE grinder's pal. You're oozing through mobs, sapping health to stay alive, like a sticky pirate leech. Picture clearing a wave, giggling as your HP ticks up. Bosses hate it. PvP's decent but not dazzling. Big multipliers crush you eventually. Pair it with a sustain spec and grind away. It's a cozy mid-game pick. Next, Vessel sails in with a 1.75x damage multiplier and %50 damage reduction. This one's a tanky brawler, perfect for PvP scraps where you're soaking hits while dishing out pain. Imagine facing a sword main in Frosttown, shrugging off half their swings while your boosted attacks chip away. PvE's smooth too. Mobs can't dent you fast enough. It's not S-tier wild, but it's a sturdy anchor for any build. Try it with a melee spec for max fun. Then there's Vampire rocking lifesteal, %10 per hit, and %35 damage reduction. You're a blood-sucking buccaneer, draining foes while staying tough. In PvE, it's gold. Clear waves, heal up, repeat. It's like cheating death. PvP's solid. Picture dueling a newbie, smirking as their health becomes yours. It's not meta-breaking, but that undead vibe carries you far. Stack a damage spec and watch enemies crumble. And here's Saya, fully loaded now. This mythical race, with a 0.175% drop rate, brings %70 reduced incoming damage and ties to the Goku spec. It's a PvP tank. Imagine laughing off enemy combos while you power up your spec. Without Goku, it's still a wall. PvE mobs barely scratch you, but it lacks offensive punch to climb higher. Picture this. You're in a duel, soaking hits like a Saiyan champ, waiting for that perfect Kamehameha moment. Foes rage as you stand tall. Build tip. Go full Goku spec for max payoff, or pair with a heavy hitter to offset the lack of damage. It's a defensive beast. Toughness is its crown. Angelica, a mythical race at 0.175%, steps up with a 1.25x damage multiplier, a stun chance on attacks, and an extra 20% damage kicker. This one's a riot. Stunning foes mid-combo in PvE, clears waves fast, and in PvP, that stun flips fights. Imagine this. You're dueling, land a stun, and pile on damage. Freeze, pal! It's decent across the board. Sword or spec builds love it, just shy of greatness. And finally, Saya, another mythical at 0.175%, brings %70 reduced incoming damage and ties to the Goku spec. It's a PvP tank. Laugh off combos while charging your spec. Without Goku, it's still tough, but lacks offensive punch. PvE's fine. Pair it with a heavy hitter and soak those hits. Here's where the tides turn. Welcome to A tier. These races are strong, versatile, and pack buffs that make you a legit verse piece contender. They're not the ultimate rulers, but they're close, and we've got 4 of them to break down. Let's unpack these beasts and see how they dominate the seas. First, Dullahan charges in with a 1.75x damage multiplier, %35 damage reduction, and a speed boost at low HP. This Headless Terror's a PvE PvP star. Mobs drop fast to that boosted damage, and in duels, you're zipping around when HP dips. Picture this. You're cornered, health low, then bam! You're a speedy ghost slashing back. Sword mains or spec users thrive with it. Try a speed build and dance through fights. Next, Demonic struts in with a 1.75x damage multiplier and a perk that cuts enemy healing. It's a PvP nightmare. Shutting down regen while you hammer away is pure chaos. Imagine facing a vampire grinning as their lifesteal flops. Your damage seals the deal. PvE's great too. Bosses melt under that multiplier. Pair it with a burst spec and watch foes cry. Dark and deadly. Then there's Half Cyborg, flexing %85 damage reduction and invincibility at low HP. You're a steel tank. PvP foes pound away, barely scratching, and near death, untouchable. Picture laughing as a contractor's explosion tickles you, then countering hard. PvE's a breeze. Mobs can't break through. It's defense heavy. Stack a sustain spec and outlast anything. And finally, Truth Seeker, an exotic at 0.05%, rocks, a 2.5x sword damage multiplier, 50% increased HP, and a fixed 1x special damage multiplier. Tied to Toji Unleashed, it's a sword main's dream. Blades cleave PvE like butter, and that HP keeps you swinging in PvP. Imagine slicing a boss, HP bar chunky, dishing massive damage, spec stays steady, but swords rule. Build around blades and dominate. And here we are. The S-tier races, the Pirate Kings of Verse Peace. These are the rarest, wildest, and most overpowered picks, with buffs that make you a force of nature. We've got 4 legends to unpack, so let's dive in and see why they rule the seas. First, Fallen Angel, unlocked via a quest, boasts a 2.75x damage multiplier and a chance to spawn shining swords that deal huge damage and bind enemies. It's the PvE god. Those swords rain down, shredding mobs like confetti. Picture clearing a wave, swords pitting foes while you rack up kills. Bosses quake, PvP's solid too. Build burst damage and watch them scatter. Quest's tough, but worth it. Next Contractor, an exotic beast, brings a 2x damage multiplier and an explosion every 5th hit. Damage plus healing. It's a PvE/PvP titan. Mobs explode in your wake, and in duels, that heal keeps you swinging. Imagine this, you're swarmed, landing hits, then boom! Health ticks up as foes drop. Pair it with a combo spec and rule both worlds. Brutal and brilliant. Then there's Shadow, an exotic with %100 PvP damage reduction. Total invincibility. It's buggy sometimes, but when it works, you're a ghost. No one touches you in duels. Picture taunting a sword main as their swings whiff. You're untouchable, laughing all the way. PvE's weaker. Stack a damage spec and lean on PvP glory. Glitches aside, it's S-tier gold. And finally, Dragonic, with a 2x damage multiplier and %80 damage reduction, tied to the Rimuru spec. It's a tanky destroyer. PvE mobs can't scratch you, and PvP foes struggle while you pound away. Imagine tanking a boss, dishing double damage. Spec or not, it's a dragon-sized threat. Build around sustain and reign supreme. And that's it. So we're finally at the end of the video. So what do you guys think about this tier list? Maybe with some differences we could create a perfect tier list, but it would be impossible to make everyone happy. Before I forget, if you liked the video, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video, I guess.